This is Zichru Daf Simanim Gemara Sanhedrin Daf Mem Tes. Now Mem Tes, when you spell it out, is meat. So we have a scene over here inside a butcher's shop. Now the butcher over here is lying in blood, unfortunately, as he was killed by the Goyal Adam. Now the Goyal Adam over here, you see, what's the Goyal Adam thinking? He's thinking about the butcher who killed his relative with a carving knife in the fifth rib, which is all going to be reminding us of different details of Yoav killing Avner. Now what else is going on over here is we have a meat board wrapped in a king's cloak, David HaMelech, and there's a thorn inside. And finally, inside this butcher shop, everything is always written in order of importance, and as much as in other Mishnayos, things are not as orderly. So again, Dav Mem Tes, a butcher shop. The butcher is lying here in blood after being killed by the Goyal Adam, killing the butcher for being the one to kill his relative in the fifth rib, Yoav killing Avner. Point number 2 is we have this meat board in the king's cloak, David HaMelech, with the thorn inside. Point number 3 is the menu over here, which is listed in order of importance in as much as other Mishnayos or are not. So we go a little bit deeper over here. Point number 1. Why did Yoav kill Avner and Amasa? Meir b'Malchus describes the Gemara. Benio asks why Yoav killed Avner. Yoav explains he's a Goyal Adam for his brother Ashael, whom Avner killed. Benio says, what do you mean? He was a Raidef. He was trying to kill Avner, and Avner was allowed to kill him. Replies Yoav, why did he kill him? Therefore, by killing him, it's called murder. Avner killed him precisely in the fifth rib, and therefore, if he was able to kill him in such a precise fashion, he clearly could have just disarmed him. Accepting the argument, Binyo says why he killed Amasa. Yoav says he was married by Malchus. He didn't carry out the king's command. Binyo responded Amasa's delay. It's because he learned Torah and he darshan. He should not stop learning for the king's command. He concludes the Gemara. Yoav was killed, married by Malchus, following Adoniah's rebellion. So that Mem Tes, the first point in our butcher shop, is the butcher is killed by the Goyal Adam. Why? Because the Goyal Adam knows that the butcher killed his relative in the fifth rib, reminding us of this story and how he could have disarmed him and instead killed him in the fifth rib, and therefore he's indeed chayev visa by the Goyal Adam. Point number 2 is why was Avner was killed and how Pasuk says Yoav sent message after Avner v'Yeshu asam bar hasira. Rabba Kana Darshin bar v'sir Carmel Avner shiarug. What's his bar v'sir? 2 stories. Shaul could have reconciled with David if not for Avner. Story number 1: David could have killed Shaul, and instead he took a spear and cut off part of his cloak, showing he could have killed but did not want to kill Shaul. Instead of committing Shaul, Avner says the first story was a soldier gave the items to David. It wasn't really true. Point number 2 was bar the sira. That's the thorn. Again, in our butcher shop, we have the meat board wrapped in the cloak of David HaMelech with the thorn. The pasuk says, Yoav took Avner mistashar the gate shadanu din Sanhedrin, confronting Avner over the killing of Ashal with the argument. Yoav took Avner aside. He wanted to make peace. Says Rav al iskei shaloi. And then finally we begin the next parak, the 7th parak, and the Mishnah's list is usually not in order. But the 7th parak begins, Arba Mises Nimstru Lebezdin, Skila, Srifa, Herik, Vechanek. Rav Shimon says it's in order of severity, Srifa, Skila, Chanek, Veherik. Rav Schreier says Rav Huna's name, Kol Maksha Shanucham Derech Minyan. Whenever it's a list, Ein Muktamocher is not usually not in order except for the Shiva, Saman, and the 7 agents, including off the needs of blood, the dam blood. Rav Baba Saba quotes Rav that our Mishnah is yes in order, since we have a machlokes. What is the severity of the order? So again, we have Daf Mem Tes in Sanhedrin. The 3 points in the butcher shop is point number 1, the butcher lying in blood after being killed by the Goyal Adam, reminding us of the story of Yoav killing Avner. The butcher killed him precisely in the fifth rib, showing he could have just disarmed him. Point number 2 is why Avner was killed. Bar Visir, the meat board here, the king's cloak, David HaMelech with the thorn. And point number 3 is going to be the special Arba Mises Bezdin, which again, if you look over here, you have stone oven, that's stoning. We have the sreifa, we have the sayif, and we have the chenek, and listed in order of importance, the big machlekes as we began this parak, Daf Mem Tes, the butcher shop in Sanhedrin.